Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by my co-host, Michael Cohen. As interest rates were cut 50 basis points, as the stock market is doing well, which again should not be viewed as a main economic indicator, but nonetheless, it is hitting record highs. Michael Cohen, I think at the outset, we reflect before talking about what Trump is doing now. Basically what he did 4 years ago to this day. Do you remember during the debate with President Biden when Donald Trump threatened the following? Let's play the clip.
I sure
They
do.
said the stock market will boom if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Well, it didn't do that. And now that it's doing well, Donald Trump's trying to take credit for it, even though he has nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, the stock that bears Donald Trump's name, Trump Media, DJT, it's just absolutely tanking. I mean, it literally, these SPACs, they start at 10. At some point today, it was trading around 14. So if you just take a look over the past 6 months, the Trump stock is down, 65, close to 70% or somewhere.
No, it's actually more than that, Ben. In fact, on my podcast that's going to be coming up, I have a long conversation with somebody that knows Trump's finances better than anybody other than maybe Alan Weisselberg, the former CFO of the Trump organization. It's Dan Alexander of Forbes. It's an incredible conversation. It's actually at $14.70 is the close. The height in the last 6 months was something like $69, $70 a share. So figure out it's a 300% loss, 300% since starting. Today alone, the stock market was up 522 points. This is what's called a bull market, right? The only stock that's in a bear happens to be Trump. This media bullshit, which, by the way, nevertheless, the guy still has 150 million shares of this company that he managed to grift people to buy into. Again, it's one of the few stocks today that tanked.
And as you mentioned also, there were times I remember, wasn't it trading close to like 200 after it was announced right away? It was like in the 100s. And then you and I were doing this show and we were saying, look, we're not giving stock advice. We're giving you our opinions, but we went through based on our experiences with special purpose acquisition companies, all of the red flags. And what we were just trying to use was not conjecture or speculation, but to actually just use the data. And normally what a SPAC does, a special purpose acquisition company, is it acquires a company with some business record. So you can at least look at financial trajectory and say, okay, this company over this period of time has been growing. Or this is the revenue. It has increased revenue, or it has increased EBITDA, earnings before interest, depreciation, taxes, and amortization. And you could then make projections. The very idea behind Trump Media was, to use a Trump phrase, a concept, right? The concept was have all the right-wing people join Trump. That's what his concept was. And we see what happens with his concept right now. If Trump Media, pull the Trump Media stock one more time, Jeremy, if that's the way the United States American economy looked like right now, guess where we'd be at right now? We would have mile-long food lines. We would be unable to get toilet paper, and we'd probably see traveling morgues on TV every day as Donald Trump was bragging that he was doing great with the ratings. Oh, wait a minute, Michael Cohen. When did that happen before? When did that happen?
Ben, did you say no TP? Seriously? Right? I mean, do people not remember how crazy things were during COVID when people were stocking up on TP, toilet paper, and that they couldn't get any of it? Let me be clear about something, too. If Trump runs the country like his Trump media, if he runs the country like the way that he ran Trump Entertainment Resorts, that was the casino company, if he runs the country the same way that he ran, I should say, Trump Airlines, the Trump shuttle, you understand that the country would declare bankruptcy very much like he has done and used bankruptcy laws in the past. How do you think that our allies, how do you think that those countries that invest in the United States of America would take that? Think about it. You're talking about a stock. And by the way, there's a whole bunch of investigations right now going forth as it relates to this Trump and this DJT stock, this Trump media stock. When the SPAC is acquiring a company, it's not supposed to have, before the announcement, the company that it is acquiring. They violated every one of those rules. In fact, they were fined by the SEC. I think it was like $18 or $19 million. They have, according to Dan Alexander, and again, you'll hear this on my Mea Culpa podcast. So whoever's with us right now, make sure you subscribe because this is a crazy good conversation. Do you know that when it came to Trump and money, that the only reason he had anything left altogether is because they actually believed that there was money behind him that could legitimately pay off these obligations? Boy, they got screwed on that too.
I see some people saying in the comments, wishing me congratulations. I just want to give everybody the heads up. So everything is good. My wife is healthy and baby is healthy. I just want everyone to know that from the outset. The process, as I'm learning, takes a lot longer than expected, but everything is good. But because the process was actually taking so long, the hospital told us that we can actually go back home and then wait from home. So just so everybody knows, and again, I'm not trying to overshare.
No,
or
the
whatever.
baby is not here, guys. The baby's still in mommy's belly. She's due any moment. In fact, any moment. In fact, you may end up hearing all of a sudden it's like fire alarms going off. All right. And that means Ben is out of here. And then I'll finish up the rest of the show. Right. So just understand. Let me just go back to Trump for a second with Dan Alexander. All right. One of the things about this Trump stock, they have violated so many rules. There was an influx of capital that came in. Nobody even to this day knows where that, I think it was like $10 million in order to keep the doors open. What they're going to end up doing is probably selling off some shares here and there in order. They have a loss. And I want to use this to highlight Ben's comment about if Trump ended up running the country as he runs or as he purports to run this company as well. They took in last year, this whole year, they took in under $4 million of gross income. Gross income. They have expenses of just under $400 million. They're losing basically $396 million an annum. How many years can they keep something like this going? They have under 2 million subscribers. I bring that up for a reason. And Ben, if you could join me in this split screen for a second, because you deserve, Jordy, Brett, you guys really deserve a lot of pat on the backs. 3 million subscribers, 3 million followers just on the Midas Touch Network. I bring that number up and it's growing every single day. That's the important thing. Trump has under 2 million subscribers to Truth Social. So I want you to put that into perspective when you join us each and every week. Twice a week here, my Mea Culpa twice a week, Legal AF, Meiselas Brothers, Politics Girl, the whole Midas Touch Network. 3+ million subscribers. Trump, Truth Social, DJT, whatever the fuck you want to call it, under 2 million and losing people each and every day.
And I
That's
want to
the difference.
And I think you can compare, and I appreciate that, Cohen. You're a major part of that, and all the Midas Mighty who helped build this. And I want to give the contrast here, though, which is the way we tried to build this was really kind of brick by brick, right? I never made any projections to potential investors and said, hey, we're going to make $800 million next year, or we're going to make $350 million. So give me all this money right now. And that's not how we did it. I mean, we built it brick by brick, organically building a news network with strong values and principles. And we've been, I think, very kind of responsible in how we've kind of built it. We never tried to grow too quickly, and we would build on contributors. And you saw the build, brick by brick. In fact, early on, if you even recall, Mea Culpa was on a different place, because when you and I were first connected and friends, I had even told you, hey, I don't think I have the infrastructure yet to really support what's needed until we did together, right? And they're like, okay, well, now the time makes sense. But that's not how Trump runs things, because we actually got the investor deck from Trump Media and what their projections were when this was all announced to their investors to start this thing. Well, here it is right here in the investors deck. As Ron Filipkowski, our editor-in-chief, put this out, Midas Touch obtained the initial documents that were provided to potential investors in Trump Media in 2022. It shows that investors were fed absurd and widely inflated projections on user growth and earnings that were largely smoke and mirrors. So you take a look at the pro forma revenue projections. So for this year, in 2024, it was estimated that Trump Media would make $835 million. I believe thus far it's been around $2 million to $3 million. They've lost, to your point, Cohen, around $350 million. Their revenue is closer to $2 million. Last year, they were projecting $114 million, and their total revenue was, I think, under $5 million as well, $4 million. And this is a thing that has Donald Trump's name on it, like the leader of the Republican Party. Now, sure, this is Trump Media. I'm sure that, our viewers, were warned and never invested in this thing. But again, this is a microcosm of just what he does. So he will go out and he will just say anything to anybody at all, doesn't care about the lie. The bigger the lie, the better. And he lies to people, and then he crushes them. His investors get crushed. But we, the people in America, should not be the victims of Donald Trump's next scam, which is, frankly, in my view, to cause grievous injury to the United States of America so that he can try to get out of jail. So he runs around, right, swing state to swing state, like he was in New York. And he was saying that, he wants to bring back the SALT, which he removed. He wants to bring back the deduction on state income tax in New York, which is hurting a lot of New Yorkers. And part of his tax plan was to get rid of that very policy. So he's like, I'm against the policy. That was your policy. What are you talking? And he'll say things like that over and over again without even caring.
And yet, something that Dan Alexander talks about in great detail on the upcoming podcast. And again, Dan Alexander knows more about Trump's finances than Trump. Maybe as much as Alan Weisselberg, because this is what the guy does. The crazy thing about Trump's right now net worth, Forbes magazine has him something at around $4 billion. And Daniel here goes into it that $4 billion is not a real number. It's real because he owns something like 125 million shares of Truth Social. Do the math, multiply it times $14.70, and then you'll see where the, X billions of dollars, that $2.5 billion comes from. The problem is, if he tried to dump those shares tomorrow, the stock would become worthless. All right. So he would need to slowly but surely. But once he starts selling any amount of stock, especially once he gets to 5% of his holdings, then it has to be reported, which means everybody's going to short the fucking stock. The stock will be worthless. He does not have, may have it on paper, but he does not have $3 billion worth of this stock. But I want you, and we talk about this, Dan and I want you to think about it. Here's a man who in his late 20s started becoming the real estate guy that everybody, and the businessman that everybody believes him to be. Yet 80% of his wealth today in 2024 is on the basis of a stock, a bullshit pump and dump, fake fucking stock that was started 6 months ago. I want you to think about that. And when Ben says that, think about if this guy was running the country the way he runs his business, how much trouble that we would be in. Listen to what he's saying. Listen to what we're saying here on this channel, on this Midas Touch Network, on Political Beatdown, on the various different podcasts and so on. Because these are facts, my friends. These are not hyperbolic assertions like the ones that Trump makes all the time, trying to prove a point. We're taking facts and we put them into something which is not just comprehensible, but something that is relatable, especially based upon my long-standing decade and a half relationship with a guy, somebody who was in the inner circle, as inner in that circle as you can get. So our goal is to provide you with the facts. And it is our belief that based on those facts, that there is only one logical conclusion as it comes to November, to the election, and that Donald Trump is unfit to hold the office of the presidency. Plain and simple.
Here's the front page of Drudge Report right now. It says, Biden beats Trump at stock market. Is Harris headed for a blowout? 45 days of MAGA mania. We'll talk in a little bit about Mark Robinson, who Donald Trump handpicked. He's the lieutenant governor right now of North Carolina. He's running for governor of North Carolina, and he is embroiled in a massive, massive scandal that's rocking the entire election right now, how important North Carolina is. The CNN K-File report says that, we all know that Mark Robinson has said some really anti-LGBTQ stuff, anti-trans stuff, anti-women stuff. They were able to trace his name to some pornographic website that he was using between 2008 and 2012. And he makes some comments like, I'm a black Nazi. But then he also says, professes love for transgender porn and how much he likes to watch transgender porn. He talked about peeping on naked women and how he enjoyed doing that. And it was so graphic that CNN couldn't even get into the types of things that he described doing with himself while peeping on naked women. Now, Robinson
sounds like he's perfect for Donald, right? I mean, he should have gone with Donald to some of these Miss Universe, pageants.
Well, I think we have a montage of the types of things that Trump has said about him. I was going to play it a little later, but Jeremy, if we've got that montage, let's just play it right now.
Mark Robinson, he's out there, he's fighting. A very good man. This is Martin Luther King on steroids. I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are Martin Luther King ×2. I think he's going to go down as one of the great leaders in our country. I've been with him a lot. I've gotten to know him, and he's outstanding. He's outstanding in presentation, but he's probably even more outstanding in heart. Somebody that we have to be very, very careful. We have to cherish. We have to cherish Mark. He's a star. You have to cherish him. Amen. It's like a fine wine, because that's what you have. You have a fine wine. He's an outstanding person. I've gotten to know him so well and fairly quickly.
Now, Mark Robinson denies the allegations. He says they're false. He says that he is the victim of a high-tech lynching, he says, and he's not dropping out. Let me show you. This is from Mark Robinson. I think we have the video of his response to this story. Let's play that. Then I want to get your response to all of this, Michael Cohen. Let's play it. if we got it. It's in the stack there, Jeremy. But let me get your reaction, Cohen, to what you just saw though in Donald Trump's endorsement. Then we'll have it.
Is he Martin Luther King? No. Does he look like he ate Martin Luther King? Yes. I mean, he is a disgusting pig in every way, shape, and form. First of all, let's talk about stupid. Okay? Let's talk about reality. Black Nazi. I just want you to think of, can you find two more polar opposites? Do you think that Nazis, who are the Aryan race, according to them, would accept Black Mark Robinson as part of their cult of hatred? Everything that this man says is stupid. He is a disgusting human being. I think that your clip that was shown was absolutely spot on. Donald Trump, for whatever the reason might be, thinks that this is another good idea to hitch a bandwagon attached. Yeah, it makes no sense at all. I don't even know who at this point in time is guiding Trump. I really don't. I don't know who's having conversation with him about maybe this is not the smart, maybe it's not the smart idea for me to do, is to endorse a guy who claims to be a black Nazi. I mean, I want you to think about that and to say, is this really somebody who belongs in the people's house? Is this really the guy who's endorsing him really somebody that belongs in the White House, behind the Lincoln desk, making important decisions? This guy can't even make a decision in terms of saying to somebody who identifies as an anti-LGBTQ plus, but yet watches, transgender porn, thinks it's cool. It's okay. Whatever floats your boat there, pal. A guy who turns around and refers to himself as a black Nazi. Is that really somebody that you should be using good sound judgment, somebody that you should be endorsing and calling a fine person? Well, in line with the same fine people that marched down the streets of Charlottesville, that killed the young girl, screaming while holding tiki torch, a whole bunch of tiki torches, Jews will not replace us. Donald, maybe it's not a good idea.
Well, if you think about it, what were we talking about last week, which we should still be talking about this week and next week? It was Laura Loomer, right? We were showing all of the things that Donald Trump brought a 9/11 conspiracy theorist to the 9/11 memorial. And then we showed all of the things that Laura Loomer would say about Vice President Kamala Harris right now. And Donald Trump would promote her stuff. And she would say things like, we can't have Vice President Kamala Harris in the White House because then the White House will stink like curry. Like, that's a comment that she made. So the Vice President Kamala Harris is really not black. She's Indian. She called Vice President Kamala Harris, I'm quoting it directly, a whore who gives blowjobs to people to get to the top. And Donald Trump would repost that stuff. And Donald Trump would say at his events, she's not just some random Trump supporter. He would go around at events and say, Laura Loomer, you're courageous. She's the most courageous patriot out there. You don't want to get Loomered. And he would bring her around place to place, and she would attack the judges in the various cases, Justice Merchan, Justice Engoron, attack their daughters, attack their wives. And then Donald Trump would repost that and say, it's been reported XYZ. Now, Donald Trump also hosted neo-Nazis at Mar-a-Lago. This is who Donald Trump hangs out with. So these are not like, oh, wow, what a crazy thing. It's just consistent with who they are. It's why I say this group is not conservative. They are MAGA. They are Trump. Whatever that is, that's who they are.
And by the way, Ben, they're proud of their bigotry. That's what really offends me the most.
And that, what was so interesting to your point there, because we're also all of this stuff is a pattern. What was Donald Trump talking about in the debate? a lie that we know is a lie, that Haitian migrants who are lawfully, they're here legally, they were actually begged to show up in Springfield to save their industry because the factories were struggling there and a lot of the people in Springfield were leaving. Donald Trump said they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and he doubled and tripled down on it. J.D. Vance doubled, tripled down on it, and then added lies that communicable diseases and HIV rates are through the roof in Springfield, which is false. Now, the people who made the original post, the lie, the original post that this was based on, even that person who was doing it to be racist admitted, this was months ago because they didn't think it would become a national issue. They apologized for it. Even the person who made the initial post before knowing it was going to become this national story, that was going to be pivotal to the election that Trump and J.D. Vance would use, said, yeah, I didn't mean it to be that way. I screwed up. I am sorry. That person had the ability to do it. But you go around now and you ask J.D. Vance or Donald Trump, they double and triple down and they say, no, it's absolutely happening. So you put all of this together and you have to say, this is who Donald Trump is. Like, here's Donald Trump. Like, let's remember, like, this is Donald Trump saying one of the things he loved about beauty pageants was he would inspect the women, he said, naked. And that when you're the head, they let you do it. Like, this is what he said. Here, play this clip.
Well, you could also say, as the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that.
So you have done that. Now,
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
you're like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? They're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women. And so I sort of get away with things.
Well, I want to talk about that. I want to go back, talk a little bit more about what's going on in North Carolina with Mark Robinson. I want to show you his clip about what he's saying. He's denying it. He's saying he's staying in the race. We'll talk about that and more. Let's take our first and only quick break of the show. If we got it, Jeremy.
So last night I went out for dinner with my wife to this incredible Italian restaurant called San Sabino. I mean, just amazing culinary experience. And if you've got culinary taste like I do, then you know how expensive exploring your local food scene can get and how hard it is sometimes to find the time or really the energy to go try someplace new. Cook Unity is the first chef-to-use service delivering locally sourced meals from award-winning chefs right to your door every single week. And it's cheaper than any other delivery options. So go to cookunity.com/beat or enter code BEAT before checkout for 50% off your first week. So look, let me talk to you about what I ordered. All right. When I went ahead and I tried Cook Unity, I ordered grilled spicy salmon bowl. And in it, it was spicy salmon with mixed vegetables and sushi rice with sriracha and this panzu aioli. I mean, I'm drooling thinking about just how good it was. I mean, it was beyond good. All right. Without even mentioning anything, this experience, the type of food that you get, is better than anything that I order in when I just don't feel like really going out. And remember something, there's no cooking required for a chef quality dining experience right at your home with Cook Unity. Unlike other meal services, Cook Unity, it's a chef collective bringing exciting culinary talents to your table. Cook Unity works with some of the best chefs in the country to bring you creative, delicious meals every single week. And again, right to your door. Every single meal is handcrafted by chefs and it's made in local micro kitchens, not these large production facilities. And remember something too, your food arrives fresh. Never frozen in packaging that keeps meals in the fridge for up to 7 days. No, fresh. It arrives fresh. Cook Unity packaging, it's compostable, it's recyclable, and it's reusable. You pick as few as 4 or as many as 16 meals per week. I mean, talk about options. I mean, there are hundreds of dishes to choose from, and the menu is regularly updated. It's updated constantly. I mean, there are seven different dietary preferences that you can choose from: vegan, paleo, pescatarian, gluten-free, and more. I mean, filter for soy, nut or dairy-free options in case you have allergies. Menus are posted 2 weeks in advance so that you have plenty of time to choose. So right now, I want you to go and experience chef-quality meals every single week delivered right to your door. So go to cookunity.com/beat and enter code BEAT, B-E-A-T, before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by using code BEAT, B-E-A-T, and going to cookunity.com/beat. That's COOKUNITY.com/beat. 50% off your first week. Go now. Just accept irritation as a normal part of shaving. Henson Shaving asked that question, and they didn't like the answer. So you know what they did? They decided to do something about it. They brought aerospace precision to the world of shaving. Their razors are manufactured in the same shop that made parts for a Mars rover and the International Space Station. That level of precision, it translates to a gentler shave for your skin. So it's not about gimmicks or moisturizing strips. It's about fundamentally changing how a razor interacts with your skin. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. So visit hensonshaving.com/beat to pick the razor for you and use code BEAT, and you'll get 2 years. Listen, 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. So just make sure to add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com. That's HENSONSHAVING.com/beat and use code BEAT.
There we're back. Michael Cohen,
Boom, boom, boom.
Political Beatdown. I see some new people joining in the chat, so I just want to, again, let all the new people know who are wishing me congratulations. Everyone's healthy. The wife is healthy. The baby in the belly.
I'm healthy.
I want you all to, I just want everybody to know that the process, as I'm learning, actually, it takes quite a long time and taking longer than expected. So we were at the hospital for about 3 days on very little sleep, but my wife has so much courage and she's so incredible and so strong. They then sent us back after being there for 3 days. So I just want everyone.
I want to say 3 things. First thing I want to say is thank you to our sponsors, because as Ben always says, we don't have outside sponsorships that direct how we present the information to you. The only people, this is point 2, the only people that we're responsible to, not to these outside, influences and so on, but to you, to our community, our political beatdown brigaders, and to the Midas Touch Network family. That's the only people that we're responsible to ensure that the information you get from us, you take the information that you get from us, Google it, research it, do it, read upon it, do whatever it is that you want to do with it. What we hope to do is to put thoughts into your head to provide you with the facts so that you can make the decisions, the correct decisions that you need to make as we go forward in these last 46 days. And lastly, there's like 14,000 plus people right now with us sharing this common thought. First of all, let me say 2 things about that. The first is Shits and Pants is spelled with Z, not with S's. So it's SHITZINPANTZ. That's how we spell Shits and Pants. That's number 1. Number two, if all 14,000, I'm asking each and every one of you, especially if you haven't already, thank you very much, Hooligan. All right? I'm asking each and every one of you, go to my YouTube channel and please subscribe to The Michael Cohen Show, where you will get these 8, 10, 12-minute clips of my reactions to a whole series of these types of topics. I would hit 200,000 right then and there as we are on our journey to 250,000 subscribers. And then we're going to go for 500,000. So if you haven't already subscribed to YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Michael Cohen Show. That's all I got to say, Ben.
Well, let me show you. Before the break, we were pulling up just what Mark Robinson, who's the Republican candidate for governor of North Carolina, who is now embroiled in a new scandal. But for those watching the Midas Touch Network, the same way for the past 2 years, we've been covering Donald Trump's connections with people like Laura Loomer and others. One of those people we've been covering was Mark Robinson, and we've been going through in a very detailed way the types of horrific statements, he's made before. Now that the statements here are like the hateful statements to the MAGA were okay. When he was saying all the anti-trans stuff, violently anti-trans stuff, when he was saying the anti-women stuff, he wants to go back to a time when women couldn't vote. He's on tape saying things like this, but that wasn't the issue. The issue now is that there's video of Mark Robinson, or not video in this, there's photos of his posts, rather, of him saying he likes transgender porn, and he denies it, but it's linked to a screen name that he uses. And the fact that now he's like, that's the one that's really sticking with the Republicans, that he's espousing, he likes it. And by the way, if you like that, you could be into what you want to be into. Be you. The issue with these MAGA Republicans is that they attack marginalized communities and they want to rip away people's freedoms and harm people. And then when you look at their past, they're all like this. They're all into the stuff that they claim they hate over and over again. Here's what Mark Robinson had to say, though, just so we can be fair and show you what his denial is so people can play it. Let me show you this.
Media is at it again. My opponent is at it again. You all have seen the half-truths and outright lies of Josh Stein on these ads over and over again. And now a story leaked by him to CNN is appearing now. Let me reassure you, the things that you will see in that story, those are not the words of Mark Robinson. You know my words, you know my character, and you know that I have been completely transparent in this race and before. Folks, this race right now, our opponents are desperate to shift the focus here from the substantive issues and focus on what you are concerned with to salacious tabloid trash. We cannot allow that to happen. And folks, we've seen this type of stuff in the past as well. Clarence Thomas famously once said he was the victim of a high-tech lynching. Well, it looks like Mark Robinson is too, by a man who refuses to stand on stage and debate me about the real issues that face you. Instead, they want to focus on salacious tabloid lies. We're not going to let them do that. We are staying in this race. We are in it to win it. And we know that with your help, we will.
So let me show you this, Cohen, because
high-tech lynching. You believe that? You know what he's talking about with Justice Clarence Thomas? He was talking about money that he received from an unknown donor that paid for things like the mortgage on a relative's home. Oh my God, what did we find out? Harlan Crow. That's what we ultimately found out. His high-tech lynching. What an asshole.
With Clarence Thomas, too, a MAGA-style judge, it just gets worse every day also. Like the $4 or $5 million in gifts to him from people who appeared before him to rip apart our democracy. It's a horrible story, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. The Clarence Thomas stuff keeps growing every single day. And then you learn it's the other MAGA judge. It's Alito, and Alito's flying upside down flags. And then you learn that, then Trump had the FBI cover up for Brett Kavanaugh when there were thousands of credible allegations against Brett Kavanaugh over and over again. But let me just show you this because as I said, last week we were talking about Laura Loomers, and so Trump being very close with Robinson and strongly endorsing him, having language that he strongly supports Robinson. After all these statements are out there about Loomer, Trump also would say that she's courageous, she's great, speaks about her in all of these speeches. Let me show you these two clips. The first is a clip from Laura Loomer recently. Play this clip.
Like the way they talk and their little DEI Shaniqua voices, and it's just very piercing, very irritating sound. They all have the same voice. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, Letitia James, and Fani Willis. Like all of the meritless DEI Shaniquas talk the same way. It's very obnoxious the way that they talk.
Now let me show you.
Whoa. We just can't just gloss over that one. She's talking about 3 black women in Shaniqua voices. I mean, couldn't you get any more racist by somebody who is right there in the inner circle today of Trump, and then talking about D&I, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Holy shit. I mean, I'm amazed that she has the balls to get up, even if you actually believe that shit. Before Trump let this shit out of the box, this nonsense was pushed off. Where maybe you wanted to have that conversation somewhere in your basement with another racist piece of shit, but right now to be out there and televising this sort of stuff, wow.
The butterfly effect of this also, I mean, you obviously you can trace this back decades and generations. But Laura Loomer's been saying all of this stuff over and over again. But if you remember, not a lot of people don't, because it goes down as just some of the weird crap that used to exist on Twitter when it was not owned by Elon Musk. She would say this type of stuff. And because she said this stuff, she got banned from Twitter for hate speech. So then she went to the Twitter headquarters. She locked herself to the Twitter headquarters with handcuffs. This was like 4 years ago, maybe even longer. And then she compared Twitter to Nazis, and she compared herself being blocked by Twitter to Holocaust victims. And she was pushed off of Twitter. But then when Elon bought it, she was welcomed back. And not only welcomed back, but then she was promoted basically by the Elon algorithm. So then all of the stuff that was not there actually became all over there. And then she became one of the leaders now of the right-wing kind of movement as Elon welcomed all that stuff back. And so then, Trump sees her posts like that. And the same thing that makes Trump like a Mark Robinson or like, the neo-Nazis he invites to Mar-a-Lago is why he's, ultimately attracted to these qualities of the Loomers and the Robinsons. But let me just show you this. I mean, I could show you dozens of clips like this. This is what Donald Trump said, that what attracted him to Lindsay Lohan. And I think Lindsay Lohan was like 18 years old at the time of this. Why he wanted to have sex with her, he said, is because of her mental illness. And she was either just turned 18 or maybe young. I think she was 18. Play this clip.
What do you think of Lindsay Lohan, Howard?
I think she's hot.
There's something there, right?
Yes.
But you have to like freckles. I've seen a close-up of her chest.
Yes.
And a lot of freckles. Are you into freckles?
If the father's a wreck, like the way he is.
Right.
You imagine the sex with this troubled...
Yeah, you're probably right. She's probably deeply troubled and therefore great in bed.
Back in the day...
How come the deeply troubled women...
Yes.
Deeply, deeply troubled.
Right.
They're always the best in bed. If for some reason what I said is true, I mean, they're just unbelievable.
I can tell from the...
You don't want to be with them for the long term, but for the short term, there's nothing.
There are hundreds of clips like that out there. But this is who he is. But here's the thing. We as the United States of America, I don't want to be in that the chaos, the drama, the hate, the misogynism. I don't want our country being pulled into that. If that's what the Republican Party, they want to be that, it's sad. I want the Republican Party to be a normal political party that talks about policy. But if they want to be a weirdo cult, do that. But not the United States of please, just not the United States of America, Cohen.
I mean, I'm just so tired of him. I really am. I'm so sick and tired of the nonstop racism that is just emanating from his entire group. The sexism, the misogyny, the xenophobia, the homophobia, the transphobia, the Islamophobia, the anti-Semitism. Who's not up to here with this horse shit already? And yet, nobody on the Republican side, well, I shouldn't say nobody. That's something I think we also need to talk about, Ben, but not enough are coming out and saying, you know what? When we thought that Joe Biden wasn't competent to be president of the United States or even to run for the presidency of the United States based upon that disastrous debate, everybody called, Republican, Democrat, Independent alike, called for him to step aside because it's not the right thing for the country. Well, I think Trump is worse. I think Trump is absolutely worse. Joe Biden had one bad day. Trump has one bad day after another, after another, after another. And I want to say this when it comes to Lindsay Lohan. I used to know Lindsay Lohan very, very well. All right. I knew her dad, Michael. I knew her mom, Dina. I know her brother, Mike Jr. And I knew her. And I remember when Lindsay called me up one time and they were like, Lindsay Lohan is downstairs in the lobby. She wants to come up. Now I had my wife, my children, some of my children's friends were over. She came upstairs to the apartment. She hung out, asked if she wanted to join us for dinner. She couldn't. She was meeting some friends. She was going through some very, very troubling times in her life. And I had given her my address and my phone number. And, I had said, if you ever find yourself in a bad spot, you can call me and I'll make sure that you're okay. And she found herself in a bad spot. And she came upstairs and we sat down and I took care of it and I helped her out. That's what you're supposed to do. Instead, he's talking about a troubled child, somebody who's half the age of your daughter. And this guy is thinking that this is not sick and demented as a way of looking at a young lady, especially a young lady who's going through some real serious issues, family-wise and so on. This man is not fit to be president of the United States. His character is flawed. He is a flawed, sick, demented human being, plain and simple. And the fact that there are people, decent people, I'm not going to attack all of the folks that show up to the rallies, even though his rally at Nassau Coliseum the other night, he's, of course, lying, saying that there were 18,000 plus people there. The entire stadium only holds to capacity 16,000. That was a lie. And if you pan around, you'll see the number of open seats there. Again, he's a lying sack of shit. All right, plain and simple. All right, his character does not deserve our respect, does not deserve the respect of being president of the United States. Again, the contrast between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump could not be any starker.
Let me just show that contrast right now, because look, in my own view, though, was despite a bad debate, I mean, if we were gonna pick presidents based on debating skills, which I don't think we should do. One, Trump's had two horrible debates. His second one was worse, but I thought Trump did just as bad as Biden on the first debate, but everybody focused on Biden because Trump and Biden are graded on different scales. After the debate, I made the argument, and I would still actually make the argument, that I think President Biden's been a great president. I think he's fit. I just think he's a horrible debater now, just because he's just not good at debating anymore. He used to be a great debater. I frankly wish, when I'm President Biden's age, that I could be as fit, as healthy, and be as good as he is. But he's not a great debater anymore. It is what it is. We all had a rational reaction, though, I would say, to the debate. but the corporate media would always bolt sides this. And even right now, they're trying to bolt sides these issues when clearly Trump's moral character makes him disqualified from being, it should be. Compare what we just showed you earlier from Trump to this. This is from President Biden earlier in the day. Let's play this clip.
Yes. Let me be clear. We believe in an immigration system that reflects our values. We don't demonize immigrants. We don't single them out for attacks. We don't believe they're poisoning the blood of the country. We're a nation of immigrants, and that's why we're so damn strong.
And here's Vice President Kamala Harris speaking yesterday. Let's play either of those two clips, Jeremy.
We need to take that on. We need to lower the cost of housing. We don't have enough housing in our country. The supply is too low, and it's too expensive, both for renters and for folks who want to buy a home. So we will build together millions of new homes and give first-time home buyers $25,000 in down payment assistance. Because, look, people just want to get their foot in the door. My mother worked hard. She saved up. It wasn't until I was a teenager that she was able to buy our first home. And the American dream is elusive for far too many people increasingly. And that's why it is part of my perspective that let's just do the work of giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance. Let them get their foot in the door.
And here she is again. Let's play this other one. Let's play it.
They would cut Social Security and Medicare. They intend to end the Affordable Care Act and threaten the health care of more than 5 million Latinos in our country. All based on, I'm sure many of you saw the debate, so on that point about the Affordable Care Act, all based on concepts of a plan. Concepts. Their Project 2025 agenda would pull our nation backward. But we are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back. Instead, together, we will chart a new way forward because ours is a fight for the future.
Take that, Cohen, and then compare that to Donald Trump's speech in, this was his speech in Uniondale. Let's play it.
How about in Springfield, Ohio? They had 32,000. This is a little beautiful town. No crime, no problem. 32,000 illegal immigrants come into the town, 32. So they almost doubled their population in a period of a few weeks. Can you believe it? And you know what? They've got to get much tougher. I'm going to go there in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to Springfield and I'm going to Aurora. You may never see me again, but that's okay. Got to do what I got to do. Whatever happened to Trump? Well, he never got out of Springfield.
And again, everything's a lie.
Oh, by the way, somebody, if they're eating dogs, Trump sounds like a perfect meal for basically the entire 32,000 non-illegal. They're here on compassion migration. By the way, can I just say this, Ben?
2,002, not the 32,000.
Whatever. My question to you, my wife is an immigrant. My wife came from the former Soviet Union, born in Ukraine. Yeah. My father is an immigrant, born in Poland, came to this country through Canada, right after the end of the war. My grandmother is an immigrant, born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. My great grandma from Odessa, right? My great grandpa from Italy. I mean, I am the product of immigrants. This is a man who doesn't understand that his mother was from Scotland. His father is German. He's of Scottish-German descent. He is first-generation American. And he talks about these individuals, these immigrants, as he tries to disparage them in the most disgusting of ways. He refused, his wife is an immigrant. Slovenia, as was his first wife from Czechoslovakia. Seriously, does he not understand what he's saying? And the answer is clearly no. He doesn't understand shit. But as we're coming down to the end, Ben, obviously we need a two-finger salute. And I don't know if you had a chance to see Sarah Huckabee Sanders when she was interviewing Von Schitzenpants. Okay? She is the most disgusting person I have seen, equal to Laura Loomer. In fact, I want to tell you, I was there during Mitt Romney when he was the nominee and so on. Her father, Mike Huckabee, literally said to me, I can't stand your boss. I think he's a fucking idiot. I have the video, not the video, I have the photos of when we were all together in Las Vegas. He cannot stand him. Meanwhile, this piece of shit is sitting there interviewing another piece of shit and actually making up shit about people, about everything, one lie after the other, and allowing the lies to perpetuate and to be regurgitated over and over. And for that, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, you dirtbag, fuck you.
Michael Cohen, it has been, I really enjoyed your interview, by the way, with Dr. Bandy Lee earlier in the week. It's always great to hear her perspective, although I definitely missed the show. Again, I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody, one more time for all of your well wishes. It's really, I've let my wife know she's just been incredibly courageous and brave throughout this whole process. I have so much respect for her and all women as I've gone through this process. Baby's not been born yet, just so everyone, baby's still in belly, baby's healthy, mommy's healthy, which is most important. We were there for 3 days, and then the hospital told us, it's the baby's just not ready yet. So you can go home. So for all of those who are wondering, no baby yet, baby on its way, but think you all.
Think of it like a souffle. It's just, it's not right. Don't take it out of the oven yet. And by the way, I got a little present today, as you've seen some of you in the past, my little Yankees ring. Well, this is the 2009 world champion, the New York Yankees. All right, the 2009 World Championship ring, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And that way, when we do the beatdown, all right, we can put a Yankees imprint on somebody's forehead.
Hey, it's I like that as a recovering Mets fan. I'm all good for whatever you want to do there, Cohen. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Please do me a favor. Go subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel. It's at The Michael Cohen Show. You can go find it in the description, but just search on YouTube, The Michael Cohen Show. It's free to subscribe. I really want to get that channel to 250,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Michael Cohen also talked about this incredible interview he has with a journalist from Forbes, where they go over Trump's finances and Trump's stock and all of that. I'm excited to watch that. So please make sure you subscribe to Mea Culpa, the blue one, and let's make sure that Mea Culpa remains a top podcast. As I mentioned on an episode about a week and a half ago, one of the main podcast ranking systems, Edison, had Mea Culpa right there in the top 10, right alongside the Midas Touch podcast on audio. And that's thanks to you. 2 Midas Touch shows were in the top 10, which no other network had 2 shows in the top 10. Subscribe to Political Beatdown as well. And patreon.com/Political Beatdown.
I'm thinking Tuesday. What are you thinking, Ben?
I am thinking Tuesday. However, it may be you solo on Tuesday, given everything.
No problem. Tuesday. So make sure you join Patreon so that you could join us. We have a lot to talk about as we get and wind down these 46 days to the big November date.
Hey, Midas Mighty, Beatdown Brigaders, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. None of this is possible without you. Let's keep on growing this movement together. Let's get out the facts. Let's get out the truth. Let's keep on talking about democracy, compassion, all of that. We're in this together, folks. We'll see you next time on Political Beatdown. Have a good one.
Boom.